Protecting our youth and understanding today's threats. Today, the FBI partnered with a Hampton church for a day-long seminar tackling many issues. 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens went to the event.
Okay, God, who else?
Danger. Threats happen every day, and unfortunately it happens everywhere, whether at a restaurant, business, or school.
I feel like I haven't took it as seriously.
FBI Norfolk is teaming up with 6 Mount Zion Baptist Temple in Hampton to educate the community about threats that impact young people.
It gave me a lot of information.
Based on an FBI active shooter study, there were 160 incidents from 2000 to 2013. An average of almost 11.5 incidents happened each year between that time period. 70% of the shootings happened in either a business or school.
You need to be more careful about what you do.
Young people got a chance to hear from several different professionals about opioid addiction, how to stay safe during mass shootings, and the dangers of social media, like Zachariah Walker. He says before the seminar, he never really thought about the potential dangers that surround him every day.
We really don't think about maybe we should check what figure out what the movie exits are.
The seminar is all part of the FBI's Community Outreach Program. Community Outreach Specialist Vanessa Torres says they're trying to teach young people and people in the community to stay prepared for a crisis even before it starts.
We want to empower our young people so that they're aware of how to respond.
Walker says moving forward, he'll try to think about certain things while he's out.
You always need to have a plan from where you go, even if it just like you're going to the movies.
And he has the FBI and his church leaders to thank. In Hampton, Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.